Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we are back to talk about Arc Raiders because there has been some new game-changing, no pun intended, news, and that might even be an understatement. Because, to summarize, the game has suddenly gone from being a primarily PvE looter-shooter style game to now being marketed as a PvPvE survival extraction shooter, joining the likes of Call of Duty's DMZ mode, Escape from Tarkov, the upcoming Division Heartland. So that is a major change. Now I've got some things to break down here, talk a bit about what that means for the future of the game, so let's get into all of it. If you end up enjoying this video, a like would be greatly appreciated, and be sure to click that subscribe button as well as turning on the notification bell if you want to stay up to date on all the latest with Arc Raiders as we go through these rapidly changing events and move towards the release of the game. Without further ado, let's get into this. Alright, well I will leave a link for this down below, but what I want to do first is go over this article that Embark Studios, who is the developer of Arc Raiders, published yesterday on May 16th, kind of outlining these big changes that have now been announced. And as I said, this is some pretty wild stuff, so let's go through this and we'll break it down as we go. It starts off by saying, I'm Alex and I'm the executive producer for Arc Raiders here at Embark Studios. If you venture over to the Steam page for Arc Raiders, you might notice some changes in the way that we describe the game. These changes are fundamental enough that we think it's important to provide some context and describe in some detail what kind of game Arc Raiders is. And it's important that he says that because up until this point, they had never outright gone out and explained the exact type of genre and game that Arc Raiders was going to be. We have the trailer, which I'm playing in the background, and that kind of implies some things. It was definitely leading for a more action-oriented experience. There were a lot of Battlefield developers that are on this team. And at least from some of the wording that they talked about the game before, it was implied by myself and at least a decent amount of people that this game was going to incorporate some looter-shooter style elements, maybe some of those live aspects. But I don't think many people would have guessed that this would be a survival extraction shooter, and honestly I don't believe that that is what the game was originally going to be, but let's hear what he has to say about that. Last spring we made the decision to move the release of Arc Raiders in order to focus on releasing the Finals, our team-based first-person shooter, as our first game. At that time we also said we were giving Arc Raiders team time to add PvP to the existing foundation of the game. Since then, over the course of development, Arc Raiders has taken shape of what we believe to be a truly promising PvPvE survival extraction shooter, a game that stays true to the Arc Raiders universe that we're having a blast testing internally. So, there you have it. The game is now a PvPvE survival extraction shooter. This is a very popular genre at the moment. We're seeing big success with the likes of Escape from Tarkov and Call of Duty's DMZ, and it's a rising genre where you're seeing a lot of games trying to make their way into that market. And so you could say that this move for Arc Raiders is strategic, but it is certainly surprising, given everything that we had known about the game up until now. Continuing on, it says, Arc Raiders drops players into a lethal but stunningly beautiful future Earth, with hair-raising moments of survival and suspense. Human versus machine, human versus human, together or alone, and you versus the sometimes conflicting nature of your own humanity, all in the spectacular backdrop of a landscape littered with the haunting remains of the past. Here is an excerpt to help you paint a picture of what you can expect at this time in our development of the game. People have fled to the underground colony of Sperzana, seeking supplies to survive and shelter from the machines. Demand for resources is at an all-time high, but getting those resources is a risky job, and it isn't for everyone, but it is a job for you. That's why you've enlisted as a raider, scavenging for vital supplies that are scattered across the landscape. Everything from leftovers from yesterday's run-in with Ark to the unlikely remains of a pinball machine. Out there, the stakes are high and you will have to fight for your loot. Lethal Ark machines roam the surface. There are no rules in Calabretta, so beware of other raiders. With the traders in Speranza, trust is hard-earned and easily lost. You need to earn your keep, so don't come back from a quest empty-handed. When you see another raider chased by a swarm of Arc drones, do you go in for the kill? Do you lend a helping hand? Or do you hold back and feast on the valuable remains? So they certainly know how to market this experience in a clever way. That sounds very enticing and like something that I would personally want to play. I think that at least lore-wise, this fits in with what they had described about the world of the game before, that it was very hostile, that every time you go out, it would be a risk. So I think in that sense, this change fits, but again, it is just quite a departure from what many were expecting about the game's genre and its gameplay. They close off by saying the next step for us is a closed alpha test to get feedback on the game's core system and loops. This will be the first road test of Arc Raiders and an important step for the game, which so far has never been in the hands of external players. This test will be closed and under NDA because work remains on the game and we're not quite ready to reveal everything about it. We have some work to do and some theories to prove before it's time to put them on the world stage. If you would like to try and help us illuminate the path, we'd love for you to head on over and sign up for the opportunity to playtest this summer. Hope to see you there. And there you have it. Again, this article will be linked in the description below, as well as the sign up page so that you can go and register for that playtest if you are interested. But this is all pretty wild. The other thing I did want to talk about briefly, at least, was this short little gameplay sizzle, or really just game reel that they posted yesterday alongside this new article, which shows what I imagine is some more recent gameplay than what we've seen in that other trailer that we've been watching. Now, these are very brief glimpses, but the one thing that does stand out to me is the kind of difference in style, I guess, of the movement compared to the old Vision. The old one I really liked from the beginning because it showed a lot of velocity in combat. There were people running around, doing these super high jumps, throwing explosives. It seemed like a very high octane experience, and that was something I was really excited for in this third-person game. And of course, we cannot definitively say that those elements no longer exist because of just a few seconds of gameplay and glimpses that you see in this little reel. But I have to say, all of this seems a lot more methodical and slowed down. And maybe that is the new direction they're taking things. Maybe that's the direction they always intended to go. I mean, that trailer is well over a year old, so I mean, they certainly could have gone that way before they even made the switch to the survival extraction shooter. Overall, it is just going to be very interesting to see how all of this is received. They never released enough about the game that I think people can be really upset that they've been deceived or anything like that, because like I said, they never really went out and said what type of game this is going to be. There were some implications, but they never outright stated it. And so whatever expectations or other notions that players might have put in their heads because of what we had seen, that's not really on Embark to now switch the direction like this. And if they were going to make that radical of a change, it is this time when they needed to do it, this early on when people don't have a good enough idea of what they were expecting yet. Now, personally for me, I'm pretty excited by this. I'm somebody who likes PvP. I like the general genre that this game is now saying it's taking part in, and I'm interested to see how they pull it off, especially with the technical feats that we've seen their studio pull off with the finals. However, there is no doubt in my mind that a lot of people are going to be quite upset by this, especially if you were looking forward to the more PvE-oriented experience that the game seemed to be promising up until now. And so more than anything, I would love to hear all of your guys' thoughts on this major news for Arc Raiders down below. Does this change in direction excite you, surprise you, make you less interested in the game? I have a feeling there's going to be people from all points of view here, so please do leave it down below and I will be very curious to read through all of it. My guess, based off of the wording in the article, is that this game is no longer going to release in 2023. It sounds like they are doing this test after changing the direction of the game, and they want to get feedback on that and continue to iterate on it. What that means for an eventual release date or more public beta, no idea, but as we learn more in the future, I will keep you up to date on all of it here, so be sure to stick around. That is all I've got for you today, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold, out.